Welcome to the Dram Amateur Podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 6 of the Dram Amateur Podcast. My name is Jason. I will be your host. You can follow me on Instagram at dram_amateur. A little long for Dramature. Short name is Dramature. You can also find me on the Boomer social media sites called Facebook. I finally have a Facebook page there, the Dram Amateur Podcast. So excited to be there as well. Just got that set up over the last week or so. So trying to expand out a little bit and try some different things. In this episode, we're going to go through the Florida Haul. Man, pretty excited about that epic haul that I had a couple of months ago, or I don't know, earlier this year, I guess. But we're going to talk through the Florida haul and what got that set up. But yeah, just a few topics to get us started today. First of all, big shout out to my friends Jim and Lindsay. They are the podcast hosts for Children of the 80s. Definitely go give them a listen to if you are an 80s kid like I am. I think I just probably aged myself there, but yeah, give them a listen to. Funny stuff. Known Jim for years, but give them a listen if you're into different podcasts. Talk about my new setup. So, the evolution of a podcast and all the equipment you could have. So, I finally broke down and bought a podcast arm, which is not really a big deal in the grand scheme of things. But with my other setup, I was struggling a little bit, and I'm still working through some things. So being the only host, I've got to get my breathing under control. Not the easiest thing to do sometimes because I'm a talker, so everything's exhaling without inhaling. I also, I notice it a lot. I pop my lips sometimes. Probably because I have dry mouth because I'm talking so much. I probably just need to drink more on these podcasts and just shoot the shit with everybody. But yeah, so just a couple different things. And with the microphone I have, it was on a stand. So it came with a stand that sat on your table. And I have a standing desk for work, and I do it at my work desk because I have nowhere else in my home to do it. So I would put the stand. It probably picked up that thing. I would put the standing desk up a little bit so I was talking into the mic, but what I was doing was I was sitting forward in my chair, or I was leaning forward in my chair, and it was kind of like not relaxing and comfortable. So now that I have a podcast arm, I can literally just sit back in my chair and just talk into the mic from a good distance away, and it's pretty cool. So I'm pretty excited about that. So so fun times. So got a little new setup. I'm also in the next couple podcasts, you're going to see that I'm going to try a few different things. I have a couple ideas that I want to kick around, and I want to see if they're going to work. So, I'm not going to give you a lot of insight into them, but I figure that I would just give you a little bit of a teaser. And we'll see how this goes. I have it all kind of not all set up yet, but kind of set up, just kind of set up. But anyway, so it'll be fun. I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a nice evolution to what I'm doing. And this is kind of, again, as I kind of learn and go through different things, you guys are learning beside me. I'm not perfect in any way, shape, and form. So the fact that any of you are still listening to this podcast is a step in the right direction. But yeah, so super excited to kind of evolve and try different things. Some other fun facts this weekend, my wife and I went out for dinner, and we went to a Cuban place. I like Cuban food. There was a Cuban place over in Alpharetta where I used to go, and I used to actually go to the office. But yeah, we went out to Cuban for dinner on Saturday night, and I was stoked because I got to try oxtail for the first time. I'll tell you what, I'm a big Triple D fan, so I'm a big diners, drive-ins, and dives fan, not Triple D breast sizes, but I'm a fan of that too. But anyway, so big Triple D fan. I love Guy Fieri. I think he's friggin' awesome. He's probably one of you know what? Podcast idea. Who would I want to sit down and have a drink with? Need to write that one down. But anyway, he's one of the people I'd probably want to sit down and have a drink with. And I like diners, drive-ins, and dives. I could watch that show for a good solid few hours if I'm just killing some time. And I remember on there, he had oxtail before, and he bragged about how good it was. So the Cuban place I went to, I asked my server, I said, hey, I'm like, how's the oxtail? If not, I'm going to Churrasco. But I'm like, how's the oxtail? He's like, dude, it's phenomenal. I'm like, all right, I'm doing it. I'm gonna eat oxtail for the first time. It was awesome. I absolutely loved it. It is probably one of my new favorite dishes to have. And man, when it becomes wintertime, talk about like comfort food. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. It was so good. So wicked good dinner that I'm definitely glad I finally tried. Other fun fact. So as we were finishing up dinner, my wife says, I wonder if what they have for dessert. And I know that she's a big creme brulee fan. So one of our restaurants in town up here, I said, why don't we just go to get creme brulee at one of our favorite restaurants in town? She's like, oh my gosh, you're so amazing. You just totally read my mind. Yes, we're going for creme brulee. So I said, all right, cool. We're going for creme brulee. I also suggested creme brulee because the restaurant that we go to get the creme brulee has a decent bourbon selection. So I was like, win-win on both sides, right? And last time I was there, they had JD12. So we got there, and of course they had creme brulee, which was awesome. And of course they still had JD12. They still had like half a bottle of JD12. Fun. Here's where I struggle, right? That this would now be my, oh boy, fifth pour, sixth pour of JD12 at a cost of $30 a pour, I think. At this restaurant, it was $30. I think I spent $35 for it up in Tennessee when I was there. And I had one up there too. Yeah, this is like my fifth pour, I think, from a restaurant. I say $30 to $35 a pour. You know, it finally hit me that of all those pours, right? I mean, what's that? $150, $180? Am I doing math right? Yeah, 5 pours, $150. Yeah, so 5 pours, $30, $35. So figure $150 plus tip, right? Let's add in tip and tax. I could have bought a bottle. Yeah, I would have paid secondary prices. And by no means do I want to. I mean, seriously, I really don't want to pay secondary prices, but I could have bought a bottle. But I haven't. And my buddies, I texted my buddies like, stop pouring that or stop drinking that at the bar and just go get a bottle of it at X spot, because we all know of a place in my town that's got it. And I said, oh, you know, of course, me, after having a drink, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, why don't we just do both? I'm an idiot. We'll have a drink and go buy a $200 bottle at $70. I don't know. It's ridiculous. I sit here and think about it. Yeah, like listen to me stutter and stumble over like my thoughts with this, right? I struggle with it because have I ever paid more than retail for a bottle? Yes. Have I paid like an astronomical? Well, I mean, yeah, maybe I have. Actually, a lot of the stuff I have is really not that far over retail, to be honest with you. Some things I have paid over. But anyway, by now, I probably could have just bought a bottle of JD12. I probably could have had the whole thing myself. Will I go buy that $200 bottle so I stop drinking it at the bars? I don't know. Listen, I won't lie to you guys. Has it crossed my mind? Absolutely. I actually thought about going and getting a sundae. I'm like, you know what? I'm finally going to pull the trigger. I'm finally going to go ahead and do it. I'm going to spend $200, but I haven't bought a bottle in who knows how long. And I was like, no, you know what? No. I went, you know, all I do is just go look at my collection and go, do I really need another friggin' bottle? The answer is no. So anyway, so here I am, 5 pours in the JD12 at God knows how much money with taxes and tips, and I probably could have just had my own bottle for secondary prices, but I'm too much of a stubborn ass to pay $200 on a $70 bottle. So anyways, that's the fun there. Last thing on the intro here, man, it's fantasy football draft week. Oh, man. I mean, if you play any sort of fantasy football, you know that like this week and maybe next week, but this week's a big week. So I have a draft on Thursday night, and I have a draft on Saturday at 5. Both drafts are in leagues in Syracuse. Unfortunately, I can't travel up this year to Syracuse to go do the live draft, so I'll just be on, I'll be on whatever the hell the app is, FaceTime. God, it's been a long day. I just got done with work, so like my brain's fried. But I'll be on FaceTime, draft with them. But man, fantasy football, I mean, it's a big thing. And it's funny. So like this league that I'm in, we get to keep one keeper, and the keeper that you keep, you have to then have him move up around. So for example, if you kept a keeper, if you picked a guy in the 5th round last year, he would be your 4th round pick this year. If you kept a keeper if you kept a keeper from the 1st round, he'd just be your 1st round pick, but you could only keep a keeper for like 3 years or something like that. So it's a pretty fair league. The fun part is, and this is the part that I like because I am pretty crafty, is if you're good and you get a really, really late round pick and you get a steal, bonus for you. Or so like let's just say 17th round, right? If you pick up a dude in the 17th round and he ends up becoming a stud, good for you. You're done. That's awesome because then you have him in the 16th round. If you pick them up off the waiver wire, it's a 13th round pick. So I've got Aaron Jones. I've got Saquon Barkley. Aaron Jones is getting old and washed. I really don't like his situation this year in Green Bay. Saquon's a stud, right? But I got Saquon in the 1st round, so that's my 1st round pick this year. So he could be there at 1st round this year. So like, where's the benefit? Where's the value, right? Well, I'm just getting a 1st round pick. I think I'm keeping Brock Purdy, because I picked up Brock Purdy off the waiver wire, so he would be my 13th round pick. Value-wise, listen, that's the thing about this, right? You play the game, right? Value-wise, to not have to worry about a quarterback on a team with that much offensive power, and you get him in the 13th round. I don't know where Brock's going. I haven't looked. I got to go look. Maybe Brock is going in the 13th round, right? And then it's even. It's an even value, but I'll have to look at those kind of things. But I'm thinking going Brock in the 13th, which just allows me then to just go straight wide receiver, running back, and tight end, just rounds 1 through freaking 12, and just draft. Just draft everybody. Never pick a kicker to the last round. Never pick a defense to the last 2 rounds. Don't ever do that. If you pick a kicker or defense before the last 2 rounds, God have mercy on your fantasy football soul. Seriously, honestly, please don't do that. So I'm thinking of going Brock in the 13th. So let's just see. I'll give you guys a heads up next week. All right, so let's talk about the epic Florida haul. So as you guys all have heard, if you listen to the previous podcast, my corporate office is in Orlando. I travel to Orlando at least 4 times a year, probably more than that. And a lot of the times I fly, obviously, because it's a short flight from Atlanta. But I will tell you this, it's gotten to be a nightmare in the summertime. I had a flight that left at like 5 o'clock. It was supposed to leave Orlando on a Thursday evening. I got home at 3:30 a.m. the next morning. So that was a nightmare because of storms. The flight before that, supposed to leave at 7, got pushed back till 2 a.m. Looked at the flight person or the ticketing agent at the desk, and I'm like, how do you think this flight from Atlanta is coming in at 2 a.m. to take off and then head back to Atlanta? She's like, well, they just boarded. They're just taking off from Atlanta. She says, we don't know if the pilots are going to time out. I'm like, I need a hotel room, please. So got a hotel room and have her move me to like the 6:30 flight or 7 o'clock flight in the morning out of Orlando. So I've changed the way I fly to Orlando now. I leave mostly on Friday mornings now and not Thursday nights. But in the wintertime, if I have the time available from a meeting perspective and a work perspective, I'll drive down. So for me, if I fly, I leave at noon from my house, and then I'll end up landing and at the hotel by like 7:30 in Orlando. If I drive down, I can leave at noon from my house and get there at 7 because it's a 7.5 hour drive for me with decent traffic. So either way, I've done that. But back in the winter, I actually drove down, and it's because the last time I was there, so I was there, I think in September or October. Actually, it may have been November. I was there, and I decided to pop into a couple of liquor stores. When I walked into the liquor stores, I found Dusties. And when I mean Dusties, I mean bottles covered in dust that have not moved in years. And not only did I find this at one liquor store, actually, no, I found it at one liquor store, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about my actual trip down there. So when I went in, I asked, there was a whole bunch of bottles, and I told the kid, I said, dude, do you guys realize what you have on the shelf out there to buy? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, why does this stuff not move? So we had a conversation back and forth about why the stuff doesn't move. And it's one of those stores that like you have to go dig through things. These were all front and center. So, I mean, they were all front and center. But there's these stores that you have to dig through things sometimes because their inventory is not good. They throw stuff all over the place. So it's like one of those stores. But I told him, I said, you know what? I'm going to be back. I'm like, I got to be back down here in 30 or 45 days. I'm coming down. I'm driving down. I'm bringing my truck, and we're going. So I did. I drove down. I think this was January, February of this year. Drove down and got there, checked into the hotel, and immediately went hunting. Because I was there for I had a couple days that I had available to hunt. I had 2 days to hunt before I had to drive back. So went hunting as soon as I got there. I walked in. The dude behind the counter looked at me, and I looked at him, and he looked at me again and goes, I remember you. He goes, you came back. And I said, yeah, dude, I came back. He's like, oh, you're going to have some fun, aren't you? I said, are they all still here? He's like, oh, yeah, they're all still here. Nothing sold. I'm like, yes. So I was pretty excited. They had the Belle Meade. So if anybody knows, so Belle Meade is a brand out of Nashville, Tennessee. It's now Nelson's Greenbrier. They used to be the Belle Meade brand, and it's probably one of the coolest bottles, coolest labels I've ever seen. They've put out bangers like the Belle Meade Honey, the old Belle Meade Honey with the bees on it. Yeah, if you've never had a pour of Belle Meade Honey, you are totally missing out. Make sure you can try to find yourself one. It's absolutely fantastic. But this store had bottles and bottles and bottles of the Belle Meade XO Cognac finish, the Belle Meade Madeira, the Belle Meade Sherry, and the Belle Meade Reserve, all with the writing on the labels. So with the Belle Meades, depending on the year they released, I think it was 2017, they had a sticker that went over the top or down the side of the bottle that had the writing on the label, the batch number, and something else on it. And then I think 2018 and 19, I don't know about 20, but there's writing on the front of the label. So that sticker on the side is no longer there, but the writing's on the front of the label. So these are all the old bottlings of the Belle Meades with the writings on the label. I think a lot of the ones I got were 2017 and 18. I may have got some 19s as well. But that's pretty cool, right? These bottles have been sitting on a shelf now. It's 2023 for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, not moved. I'm telling you, there was dust on these bottles. It was insane. And knowing they don't make these anymore. So that's kind of the fun part, right? Is that you're finding something that's quality product because Belle Meade put out bangers and they don't make it anymore. They did away with the Belle Meade brand. I think they said they're only going to release the Belle Meades in Tennessee, And I actually don't even know if they're doing that anymore because Nelson's Greenbrier went with their own stuff. And I think they made that decision because it's their own distillate now. All of these bottles, and I'll go over the kind of some of the specs here a little bit. But all these bottles are MGP, which is cool. So you're talking like older MGP, which is awesome. So the XO Cognac is a 7-year MGP blend. The Madeira is a 7-year MGP blend. And from what I think I read, it's like 6 to 8 years. Most of it's 7. It's a 3-barrel blend on a lot of them. So that's pretty cool. The Sherry, here's a fun one. The Sherry is a 9-year blend from MGP. I think that the average age is 9. I think it's an 8 to 10 year barreling. So that thing is absolutely fantastic. And then the Reserve is a blend of 7 to 11-year-old MGP. I mean, listen, these bottles are all $70, $80, $90, I think was the most. And I think the Sherry was $90. And actually, I don't even know if the Sherry was $90. I think it was $85. But where are you going to find old MGP blends like that that have all that quality in it for that price? You're not anymore. You're gonna pay out the wazoo. I mean, maybe you find a few for $100, right? But really excited to have those. So those are pretty cool. I think I got 2 of the cognacs, 2 of the Madeiras, 2 of the Sherrys. I already had some Sherry from some recent trips. Sherry's one of my favorite ones, and then I got a couple of the Reserves, so it's pretty cool to get that. I don't know how many I bought of each. The Instagram post I had 2 of each, but I'm pretty sure I bought more than that. So that was pretty cool. They actually also had a Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, just the bourbon, 134 proof. I was like, I looked at it, I'm like, no way. I've never seen one. I've always been told one thing. You ever find a bottle of Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, then over 130, buy it. But I've never seen a 134 proof. It's the highest proof I've ever seen. I still have never seen a 134 proof bourbon. Obviously, the ryes that have come out now are higher proof. I've never seen a 134. So that's awesome to have that. I haven't cracked that bottle yet, but I totally need to because I want to see how different it is. I bought an Old Forester single barrel strength, the blue label. It's a Warehouse H floor 4, 126.2 proof. So decent proof on it. I think it's my only Warehouse H also. I've cracked that one. It's really good. I really enjoy that one. It's decent. And then I have a Four Roses 2020 limited edition barrel strength as well. That one was a really good price. I was surprised. I saw it on the shelf and I was like, how much for the Four Roses 2020? It's like $189. I was like, wait, what? I'm like, that's a pretty damn good price. So I went ahead and snagged that. So pretty epic store haul. I walked out of there with probably, I think, two boxes that night. And yeah, I was pretty happy. I had the budget put aside for it. I knew what I was going for. I found the few extras, and that was really cool. So then I went to a second store that was about 15, 20 minutes away that I had scoped out before. This is a smaller store, but had, again, floor to ceiling shelves of spirits. Just things buried, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that before. I haven't seen that, or blah, blah, blah. So I ended up getting a couple bottles of the WB Saffel, which is the Wild Turkey. So wicked excited to have a couple of bottles of those. I love those things. The only time I've ever seen WB Saffels and the Bond and Lillard, the only time I've ever seen it was in South Carolina. So really excited to have that. They also had some killer rums. I only bought, and I don't remember what else they had rum-wise. I think I bought what I wanted to buy from them. They had an Appleton Estate 21 for retail, which, dude, listen, the Appleton Estate 21 is absolutely fantastic. It's such a solid pour. It's really approachable. For anybody who is getting into rum, yeah, I'm giving you a really expensive one to start with, but I promise you will like it. If you don't like it, call me. We can work out some sort of trade. They also had the Appleton Estates Hearts Collection, which are single mark releases. So I mentioned this in another podcast that with rum, the recipes or the blends or the recipes, like what they're made out of, they're called marks. So these are all single marks. From one of them's from 1995 and the other one's from 1999. So extremely hard to find. It's the only time I've ever seen them in public. And when you see them online, they're extremely expensive. They're double, triple the price. Both of these were retail. I could not believe it. I was absolutely floored. So I bought one each of the 95 and 99. Now, they had two on the shelf of each of those, the 95 and the 99. I left one on the shelf. So got out of there with another box. So I ended up with 3 boxes that night. Drove back to the hotel, called it an evening. I mean, I was pretty far in budget-wise at that point, and had to haul all the boxes up to my room. So that was fun. So here I am, probably looking like a major hoarder of liquor, carrying liquor boxes out of my car up to my room, where I could store them because I didn't want to leave them in the car because of one, the Florida heat, 2, I didn't want them to get stolen, so on and so forth. So as I was unboxing everything and like looking at it again, I had this like fear wash over me that I'm an idiot. Why in the world did I leave a bottle of Appleton Estate 1995 Hearts Collection and 1999 Hearts Collection on the shelf in the liquor store when I've never seen them before and I may never see them again? I have no idea. Dumbest thing ever. I knew it was dumb. So I said, all right, tomorrow I'm going back. I'm going and getting them first thing before I go to any other liquor store, because I was like, I just knew, like, it's one of those, it's one of those things, right? When you find it and you've never seen it before and it's as hyper limited as it is, just get it. Like, don't even question it. Deal with the negative outcomes from it before. I had the budget set aside, or negative outcomes after. I had the budget set aside, so I was fine with it. But so the next day, went to work, got out of work, went hunting, and I went immediately back to that store after I got quick bite to eat. I went immediately back to that store and bought the 95 and the 99. So now I have 2 of those. Again, it's one of those things you can't pass on. If I ever find another Appleton Estate 21, I'm buying another one of those because I'm almost out of my one. I've got a backup. I'll always have that on hand. It's absolutely fantastic. But the 95 and the 99 are really special things. So really excited to have those in the collection and now have a backup as well. So I can have it open and a backup, which is great. The next night I ended up going for a little bit of a drive up to Oviedo, Florida, to a store. And I don't remember what the store was, but I did a lot of research. I found out too, through watching a couple YouTube channels and talking to people, that there's a lot of stores I passed up between where I was staying in Orlando and Oviedo. And there's a lot of stores in Oviedo that I passed up that I didn't go to. So I definitely have a reason to go back and do longer hunts there. That's really dangerous for the wallet, especially now that I'm into rum, tequila, and bourbon, but it is still kind of cool to be able to do that. But the one store I went to, I walked in, huge store, really good sized store. And another store where you can tell inventory's done poorly. There is stuff everywhere. You can also tell that you're gonna have luck. Like when I walked in, the back shelf behind the register was just loaded with bottles I've never ever seen before in my life. Were they pricey? Some of them, yes. Some of them were actually a really fair price for what they were. So that was really cool. And I ended up buying some bottles there for Michael's Pints, Pipes, and Drams on Instagram. Go give him a follow. But I also bought some bottles there for him. So in this store, they had a ton of stuff. I mean, they had a ton of rum, a ton of Irish, a ton of bourbon. They had Belle Meads. They had the Belle Meads. There's a 3-pack of Belle Meads with the sherry. I think the Sherry Madeira and the XO, and they're like 375 bottles. They had like gift packs of those. I'm telling you, they had 100 of them, 100 of them with the writing on them. I mean, these bottles have been out forever. I'm like, how do you have all this? They had the full 750s as well. So I guess Belle Mead just doesn't move in Florida. If you want some Belle Meads, give me a shout. I'll tell you which store to go to. and check it out. But I was already tapped out on Belle Meads. I don't think there was anything else there that interested me from a bourbon perspective, but the rums. They had a full end cap of Foursquare 2007 and 2008. It is 2023. These were released back in, I think 2018, 2019. But I was floored. I had recently just bought some 2008 from somewhere. I don't remember where it was or how I acquired it. So I only got 1 or 2 bottles of that, but the 2007 was just sitting on the shelf. I think I bought 3 or 4 bottles. And when I'm telling you, there's like 15 bottles of each, there's 15 bottles of each. It's insane. And it hadn't moved for so long too. The fun fact is it hadn't moved for so long. There was sediment at the bottom. Like there's sediment at the bottom of the bottle because it just had been sitting there for so long. So it was cool to be able to find those, and see those. But yeah, got a couple of those as well. And then walking even down the rum aisle even more, they had, Great House 2020. So if you know me, Hampton Great House 2020 is one of my favorite rums in a long time. It may be one of my favorite rums ever. I like funky rums, right? I like things that are funky. I like the funkier things. I like the funk. How many times am I going to say funk in this episode? But man, it's great. It's great stuff. So I got 3 bottles of that. So now I think I have 6 or 8 bottles of, I think I have 8 bottles of Great House 2020. I love that stuff. It's absolutely freaking fantastic. It is a great pour. So got a couple of that. So yeah, so that was my haul from Florida. All in all, I think I had 5 boxes between my stuff that I bought and the stuff I bought from Michael. I think I had 5 boxes of liquor. Had to haul them back, threw them in the back of the truck of the 4Runner and drove them home. My friends all joked about me muling liquor across state lines, so that was kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, epic trip. I haven't done one of those kind of trips in a while, just because I have so much right now. I need to chill out and stop buying so much damn liquor. But yeah, man, I mean, to find, and I guess that's the thing that I really like about hunting, is one, finding the bottles that like you can't even find anymore. It's getting harder and harder to do that, especially in Atlanta, right? You don't stumble upon bottles that just nobody wants that have been covered in dust, or somebody wants that have been covered in dust. I think a good number of the people in the bourbon community would have freaked out to see those Belle Meads like that on the shelf. You know, I think, I don't know, I would think somebody's kind of excited to have those. I also think that the rum community, right, those rums that I got, I think the rum community would be like, holy crap, I can't believe this stuff's sitting out here on the shelf and nobody's buying it. So that's kind of cool to have. I also think it's cool to do these hunts because you find things like this, right? It's not even that it's old and you can't find anymore. It's just limited. I've seen only once in my life a bottle of Belle Mead with the writing on it. I don't think I've ever seen a bottle of those Foursquares or the Appleton Estates. I found an Appleton Estate 21 before, twice. I found one at a liquor store here in Georgia and one in North Carolina, but I've never seen the Hearts Collections ones. The Hampton Great House 2020s. I mean, the Great Houses are hard to find because just certain liquor stores carry those level of rums or those types of rums, not every single one. So yeah, you know, I think this is the reason I continue to go hunting. I don't do it as much as I used to, but I do still do it. I think it's because of like stuff like this, right? I would have never thought I'd stumble upon this stuff ever. And it's cool. It's kind of why I keep adding to the collection, and the collection keeps growing, because finding stuff like this. So pretty neat experience, something I encourage you guys all to do. Visit those stores off the beaten path. And the funny thing is, the stores I visited really were not off the beaten path. They were in Orlando, in very busy parts of Orlando. So it's kind of crazy to find this stuff just sitting there. But I guess what it is the areas, right? How many people drink bourbon in those areas, or how many people have that in there, that they're looking for, right? Are they all looking for the Buffalo Traces and the Eagle Rares and all those kind of things? So kind of cool to be able to see that. So fun experience. Wanted to share that with you. There is a haul video up on Instagram back in, I think, February. So go check it out to see all the bottles. But definitely a cool experience. Definitely the reason why I keep hunting to find stuff like that. It's also just fun to get the hell out of the house and go drive around to liquor stores and hunt. Even if you don't find anything, it's still fun to do. Go grab some good food and have a good day. So it's a lot of fun. So that's it for this episode. Hopefully it was interesting. Definitely appreciate you guys listening. Let's see. I am at 35 minutes. So sweet. Last couple episodes have been way too long. I feel like I probably bore the shit out of you guys. But I'm glad I finally got the episode down to a reasonable time. I'm trying to aim for 30. It's difficult though. I'm a talker. So thanks for listening, guys. Appreciate it. Hope you liked the episode. Really appreciate all the support. I've gotten a lot of support from many of you guys, feedback, ideas, kudos, those kind of things. So man, I really appreciate that. You guys are all awesome. So thanks for everything you guys do. Thanks for the support. Reach out to me if this is your first time listening, reach out to me on Instagram or Facebook now. Happy to strike up a conversation with you. Happy to get to know you. If there's a sample, something you're looking for, let me know. Happy to get it out to you. Share amongst the community as much as possible, because that's the whole reason I ended up getting into this, because of the sharing, and got to try some pretty crazy bottles as well. So again, thanks for listening. Appreciate it. This has been episode 6 of the Dram Amateur Podcast. My name is Jason. You guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in episode 7. This has been the Dram Amateur Podcast.